In a sale or divestment transaction, there are three types of sale processes: broad auctions, targeted auctions, and bilateral negotiation. The most appropriate sale process will largely be determined by the seller's objectives. For example, how many prospective buyers to approach, and the seller's sensitivity to transaction confidentiality, business disruptions, and timing of completion. Let's cover the three types of sale processes. As its name implies, a broad auction maximizes the universe of prospective buyers approached. This may involve making a public announcement of the sale process or advertising in the press. This approach attempts to contact dozens of potential bidders, comprising both strategic buyers, potentially including direct competitors, and financial buyers such as PE firm. The advantage of this method is clear. By casting as wide a net as possible, a broad auction is designed to maximize competitive dynamics, thereby increasing the likelihood of finding the best possible offer. We do, however, need to take into account of the potential downsides to this method. This type of process typically involves more upfront organization and marketing due to the larger number of buyer participants in the early stages of the process. It is also more difficult to maintain confidentiality as the process is susceptible to leakage to the public, including customers, suppliers, and competitors, which, in turn, can increase the potential for business disruption. The seller also needs to be aware that in the event of a transaction failure, the public nature of the transaction might elicit negative publicity. A targeted auction typically includes between 3 and 10 clearly defined buyers that have been identified as having a strong strategic fit and/or desire, as well as the financial capacity to purchase the target. This process is most effective when there is a clearly identifiable universe of likely bidders. This process is more conducive to maintaining confidentiality and minimizing business disruption to the target. But, at the same time, there is greater risk of leaving money on the table by excluding a potential bidder that may be willing to pay a higher price. A bilateral negotiation or negotiated sale involves just 1 or 2 buyers and is most appropriate when there is a clear buyer, or at most 2. This approach is undertaken when speed of execution and confidentiality are of paramount importance. While speed of execution and confidentiality are some of the advantages of employing this sale method, the real key advantage of this approach is that the seller will typically approach a prospective buyer that is a strategic acquirer that expects to realize substantial synergies in the combined business, which suggests that the buyer should be able to offer a high price. Of course, this in turn creates the risk of not being able to extract a high price as the seller doesn't not have a backup or alternative bidder. Here, I have summarized all my points earlier and provided a side-by-side comparison of the three sales processes. Again, a seller will need to first determine their sale objectives in order to find the most appropriate sale process to meet those objectives. For example, a seller needs to decide on how many prospective buyers they want to approach, and the seller need to inform its sensitivity to transaction confidentiality, business disruptions, and timing of completion.